All right. There's an official proposal from the House of Parliament Hill that February 22nd not be allowed to host any type of Olympic final ever again.
Well, no. Listen, February 22nd last year, Canada won the Four Nations.
Olympic.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so it's like a leap year thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. 1980, Team USA with the big win over the Soviet Union. They still had to play one more game after that, and then in 2026, are we going to get another 5 movies out of this thing?
Well, we know, and we saw enough cameras behind the scenes that there are going to be at least a couple of documentaries, I know, being shot. Our friends at the NHL were there shooting behind the scenes, and I'm sure that they're thrilled at the outcome, thrilled with the game. It was a fascinating game to watch, Daren, as a gold medal game. When you think about the ebbs and flows, for most of the game, it was tilted red.
Yet for most of the game, Canada trailed.
And yet, because of Connor Hellebuyck, Canada trailed until late in the second period. By the way, I thought Cale Makar had an unbelievable game today. Mm-hmm. Even though he was on the ice for the Boldy goal, he and Taves, when Boldy made that great move and split down the middle, I thought, Quinn Hughes has received so much attention in this tournament and so much attention recently. To me, Cale Makar elevated his game again today, which was fascinating to see. And so many storylines, and you knew there would be so many storylines. Every Canadian getting up and hitting refresh on the IIHF website to see whether Sid was going to play or not. And there it was, an hour before game time when they released the rosters, and one of the scratches was Sidney Crosby. So it was an unbelievably emotional day, I think, on both sides of the border. You're right about 46 years ago, Lake Placid. We all remember where we were when Mike Aruzioni scored that goal. So from that perspective, this is I think for this generation. You and I talked about this a little bit. There was a generation that was inspired because of 1980. There was a generation inspired because of the World Cup in 1996. I fully suspect that that Olympic victory by the United States will inspire another generation of hockey players in America, and that's good for the game. That's good for all of us. And if you're Canadian, you're going to say, well, I'm just mad we lost. Yeah, you have the right to be mad that you lost or disappointed you lost. But for the growth of the game, which is an overused phrase, Daren, you and I both know that, for the growth of the game, having the United States win on that platform with a giant audience is a positive for the game of hockey, period.
Yeah, I wouldn't have expected morning watch parties, 5 a.m. Local time in Los Angeles, where my buddies were out watching the game in bars, in Vegas, out at establishments watching a gold medal hockey game. That gives you an indication of how far it's come. But as Canadians, we protect this game. We protect our place in this game. There's going to be commentary about why we lost this game. Is there anything that should be taking the brunt of it?
I wondered about that, but my answer is if Canada was to lose and not face criticism, if Doug Armstrong was not to face a gauntlet, if John Cooper was not to face the gauntlet, it would have to be this way. Because Canada outplayed the United States for most of the game. Even watching and listening to Eddie Olczyk and Brian Boucher and Kenny Albert, they realized that Canada was a driving force. So the reality was Canada played a very good game. A very good game. Just got beaten at the wrong time. beaten by one of the great goaltending stories of our time. That will go down as one of the great goaltending nights in hockey history. It will.
It's the best game of Connor Hellebuyck's career.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, it has to be. Like, given the circumstances and the stakes and the performance.
Yeah, but so you do that, and when you think about how much was it, at least 3 breakaways, and then the save on Devon Taves with the paddle of his stick, he was remarkable. This was the first time in the tournament that the American defense really got pushed around, in their own zone, and Canada was unable to capitalize. It wasn't for lack of opportunities, and great players just couldn't put the puck in the net. Nathan McKinnon could not put the puck in the net. Macklin Celebrini, who will be the Cinderella story of this tournament, not just for Canada, but for this tournament, Macklin Celebrini couldn't do it. We've talked about Taves. Cale Makar had some chances. This was a remarkable hockey game for Canada without any true results on the scoreboard.
And you lose, but you can't place blame anywhere. That might be frustrating too. Well, in a sense, you can't vent on that play or that shift or that decision or that goaltending performance.
There's no column for moral victories.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And
so the Americans won this game, or the Americans survived this game?
Well, the Americans won the game. Because that's so like we're in a world of over analytics. Again, my own personal belief, over analytics, expected goals, and this and that.
Over analyzation. Yeah.
Humans play the game. Humans play the game. The United States played well. Did they play as well as Canada? No. At key times, did they do what they had to do to win? Yes, they did. Mm-hmm. Connor Hellebuyck was great. Jack Hughes got better as the game went on. The human aspect of Jack Hughes losing teeth on the Sam Bennett 4-minute minor, then Jack Hughes taking a high-sticking penalty himself, which allowed for so the Americans had a long power play over 2 minutes. Then the Canadians had a 2-minute power play, and then Jack Hughes scores the overtime goal. And here's I know that this has nothing to do with anything, but I was just looking at ice times, and because I'm one of those guys that thinks, well, if a guy plays 6 minutes, that's a good period. Jack Hughes played 17 seconds in overtime.
One shift.
17 seconds. One shift.
Yeah.
And was at the right place at the right time. And that's exactly what happens. And so this is why we all are invested in the game, is because it's great athletes and great opportunities and people making little mistakes and people being able to capitalize on them. And you can be disappointed as a Canadian, and you should certainly be proud as an American. But the game of hockey won today. The game of hockey won today.
I'm not sure Hitch is going to feel that way.
No, listen, I'm sure he isn't. But and here's the deal. I have lived in Canada. I have lived in the United States. I have helped Hockey Canada. I have helped USA Hockey. I have friends on both sides of the border that we talk all the time. And I'm a proud Canadian. But the Americans won. The Americans won, and there's nothing to be bitter about. Well, we got cheated. We didn't get cheated. Canada didn't get cheated. The Americans won. Plain and simple. That's good. That's good.
Didn't get cheated, but we lost. I'm mad. I'm sad.
Life goes on, big boy. Life goes on.
I commiserate with my buddy Hitchcock.
Yeah,
we bonded.
If he will speak to us, I mean, wow. This will be fascinating.
Hitch and I have become fast friends, mostly in our adversarial roles against you, but we've become fast friends.
Hold on. Adversary, does that mean there's adversity?
Well, yeah, against you, and you can't come back from this adversity. Unfortunately, it did not make them stronger. We got to soak this one in. Gold for Team USA, silver for Canada. NHL best on best goes towards the Americans for the first time since 1996 in the World Cup. Incredible performance for Team USA. Ken Hitchcock will join us next as we continue on 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon.
NHL TV is now on DAZN. Hockey lives here.
Here we go.
Watch every game from every team. The best players in the world. And the coldest plays on ice. Watch up to 4 games at once for the ultimate NHL experience. Sign up now at DAZN.
Appreciated the contribution of Ken Hitchcock throughout this Olympic men's hockey tournament. Daren Millard along with John Shannon, 100% Hockey, best on best, YouTube, as well as all the podcast platforms. So, Coach, it was an entertaining hockey game. It was drama-filled. It was far from perfect. How did you see the overall game before we get into the particulars of the result?
I thought Canada played, after the first 5 minutes of the first period, I thought they played great. I thought they did exactly what they had to do. They played the way they had to play. Their puck movement, their puck support was excellent. I thought they played a whale of a hockey game, and that's what this sport's about. The difference can be goaltending, and it was today. But I thought Canada played a heck of a hockey game. I thought they had a lot of contribution up and down the lineup. One thing that really stood out to me was the skaters were really relevant in the game today. Even the good players that were average skaters had a difficult time keeping up. That's just how hot the pace was.
But as you mentioned the day before yesterday, Ken, goaltending was going to be the key, and Connor Hellebuyck was the best player on the ice, correct?
Yeah, he was outstanding today. He was a little bit lucky, but you're going to have to be. That's going to have to go your way. You know, that's the same thing they said about Binnington in the Four Nations. Just the only thing I'm thinking of right now is how do we get to see more of this type of hockey? Because then these two teams go at it. This is incredible hockey. You feel for the guys on Team Canada, because they were the better team today, but that's not the way the game works. There's a goalie, and the goalie was the difference maker in the game today.
Canada did have opportunities, including a 5-on-3. How impactful, in retrospect, do you look at that missed opportunity?
Well, I think it's like the Americans had a 4-minute 5-on-4 at the end. How did they miss it? Those are things that go on in the game, but the game is still a 5-on-5 game. I thought Canada's 5-on-5 game was outstanding today. They did a lot of good things. They did a lot of things they had to do to negate the Americans. You know, the one thing you'd be concerned with Canada is we didn't score any goals. And for all our talent and everything, one of the evaluations is what didn't allow us to score the goals that we thought we would be able to score. What happened? And that would be one thing I would want to analyze a little bit. What prevented us from capitalizing even more?
So too much transition, too much outside, not enough to the front of the net type stuff?
I don't know. I would want to just evaluate it to start with. I don't think you can nail it to one thing, but we had to run a lot of energy by the last 2 games to get to this game, and still we were much the better team today.
What was the Sydney factor, if at all?
It's a huge factor. His presence makes you play, and it's a huge factor, but everybody's got injuries, John, and like I told you guys before, in these competitions, it's who's in, not about who's out. And I feel badly for Sydney. I feel badly for some of the Team Canada players, because hopefully they get another crack at this thing somewhere down the line.
Coaching, you watch it through that lens. What did you think of the job by both Mike Sullivan and John Cooper throughout the game with the adjustments?
I don't really know Sully that well, but I thought Coop's staff was outstanding. Their composure, their teachability, they did just an outstanding job. You know, they were really, really good.
With all the passion that we have in Canada and the growing passion we have in the United States, because let's face it, you can see it, and there's a great deal of pride. How do you manage your emotions after a game like this, Ken? You have been on the winning side more than you've been on the losing side, but how do you manage your emotions?
Well, that depends. Do they get out tonight or tomorrow morning?
I think I'm not sure, actually. One of the Chargers has already left, so I suspect that they'll probably leave later tonight.
Well, you enjoy it. Like it's the last time you're together. You really enjoy it, and then you just back to business. You know.
Was the American defense, much talked about American blue line, a factor, or was Canada able to negate that?
Canada really negated it. They pinned them in. They did a great job in pinning them in. They never got loose at all. And tell you, the last 55 minutes, Canada might have played a perfect hockey game. What are you going to do? You know, that's the tough part that you're going to have to live with. But that's why I feel so fortunate that I was able to be on teams that won medals, because I see how hard it is right now, and it's not easy, boy. And but they played a great hockey game. Like, they played 55 minutes of almost perfect hockey.
So if you were giving a letter grade, what would you give Team Canada?
Oh, at least an A for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing, right? That you don't win the hockey game and you can play to that standard.
They did so many good things, and they played so well in critical ice. They had them and the goalie 2 or 3 breakaways, one-on-ones on the goalie 5 or 6 times. Like, they could have really opened this game up.
And when you look at the opportunities that McKinnon had, Devon Taves had, Connor McDavid had, Macklin Celebrini had. I mean, scoring chances had to be on a ratio of 2-1 through the game, right?
Well, way more than 2-1. So I feel terrible for these guys, but I love the way they played.
Macklin Celebrini may have equaled Team USA on his own. Let's take a break. We'll continue Best on Best, 100% hockey. Millard and Shannon chatting with Ken Hitchcock. Be right back.
Car shopping should be exciting, not exhausting. That's where Car Gurus comes in. They have advanced search tools, unbiased deal ratings, and price history, so you know a great deal when you see one. It's no wonder that Car Gurus is the #1 rated car shopping app in Canada. When you're car shopping on your phone, it shouldn't be a maze. You need to see all the information. With the Car Gurus app, you can. Powerful search tools that you see deal ratings, price history, and dealer reviews on listings all in one place. And you can turn on real-time price drop alerts so you never miss a great deal. Car Gurus connects you with trusted dealerships when you're ready, ensuring a transparent, hassle-free buying process. Buy your next car today at cargurus.ca. Make sure your deal is the best deal. That's cargurus.ca. cargurus.ca.
You always have this in the back of your mind, fear that one area it's going to be a blatant mistake or a stumble. John talked about Connor Hellebuyck and Hitch. You were so complimentary of him, but Jordan Binnington made some saves. A bit of an answer in this gold medal game by Binnington.
No, that's what you expect from him in big games. He's a big game goalie, big time goalie. So he makes the saves. I think the thing that frustrates me a little bit is that you go into games that are overtime and it's an even game, and then you just let it go. This was not an even game, but it still went to overtime. And so good on the Americans. They get a chance to celebrate. I hope they do it with class tonight, because that's such a respectful tournament. But more than anything, they know and we know we were the better team. And in my opinion, we played our best hockey. So you're hoping as it goes to overtime, I'm sitting in the living room hoping that Canada wins, because they deserve to win. I always want to cheer for the team that deserves to win. Sometimes it's not even a Canadian team. It's a different competition, but that's what you want. You want the team that earned it to get the chance to win it, but it didn't happen that way this time.
You were on a staff that went to an overtime game in a gold medal game in Vancouver in 2010. That 18 minutes must have been the longest 18 minutes of any intermission in anybody's life at that point. I presume today would be the same. What would the conversations be between the players? What would the conversations be, coaches to players? Would there be any conversations?
I'll tell you this story. We went into the room to go speak to the players after the Americans tied it up. And we were going to overtime. And Babs said to me, "What do you think we should say?" And as I walked by the dressing room, I said, "I don't think we need to say anything, because there's 4 guys in there that are saying everything." And we left it alone. And I remember Mike saying, "Somebody's going to be a hero in here. Who wants to be the hero?" That's all he said. But the players, the veteran leadership, especially the mature leadership, they had taken over the room a few days earlier, and they were taking it over again, and we ended up with a gold medal.
What did you see on the golden goal by Jack Hughes and the lead up to the play? How did it come about?
We just got caught a little bit in the zone, so there was a little bit of a passive 2-on-1 at our net, and then ended up being almost a 3-on-1 at our net. I hate thinking about it, to be honest with you guys, because we deserved, like, some days it's up for grabs. Like for me, the Four Nations game was up for grabs. This was a domination, and we didn't win. And like I said, goals go in like that. That happens. But I was really proud of the way the Canadian team played, boy.
Do you coach? I mean, I know maybe this is a rhetorical question. Do you coach for 3-on-3? I mean, or is this you do?
It's about getting the right people on the right ice, seeing what their energy's like. Connor looked like he could play all day.
Yeah.
And the right centerman too. I saw a little bit of that, more so than National Hockey League 3-on-3, where there's bits of it, but putting a centerman out just for the draw and then getting the hell off the ice.
Yeah, that's a big part of the game now. Trocheck does it. There's a number of players that do it. Tavares does it. That's part of the game now. You want the puck.
So when you think back on this tournament from an American perspective, winning gold for the first time in the NHL era, winning gold for the first time since 1980, who will be remembered in 5 years from this historic win by Team USA?
Well, both Hughes brothers and Connor Hellebuyck for me. Then the other valuation you have if you're on the American side is, well, who looked like they could play and who looked like they couldn't play. And in Canada, the stars made the difference. The stars were the stars, and they made the difference. And just great hockey. What can you say, like, guys? Like, holy smokes, it's just great hockey.
3-on-3 is a hard way to end.
The terrible way to end, John.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I think I would have said that. I would say that if Canada won too. I think I would have, because now it's better than a shootout.
Is it?
I think so.
I think it's the same.
I hate it. Period.
Yeah, I put them both into the same category, to be honest. And we were talking while we were watching the game, like who did 3-on-3 favor? And I don't think it favored either side more because of the how short the benches got. Hitch, was I accurate in that at least?
Yeah, there are 6 players playing.
Mm-hmm. From Canada's side, who will be remembered in this tournament?
Celebrini, McDavid, McKinnon, McCarr. Outstanding group of young guys.
Macklin Celebrini today continued his assault in this tournament.
Yeah. The young players were great.
Yeah, no, and I think that when you look at the tournament as a whole, Darren, you were asking that question. The Americans did not allow a power play goal. And a lot of the pressure from that perspective was put on Mike Sullivan because he and Billy Guerin allowed JT Miller and Trocheck to be on this team. And those two guys did a hell of a job killing penalties, Hitch. Not just today, but through the whole tournament.
They took a real pride in it. You know what? You know what you learned, John? I'm going to leave you with this. As much as it means to us, it means just as much to the Americans. So this is game on. Just the start of something special. Let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy the way Team Canada played. I know that they won a silver medal, not a gold medal, but they played a gold medal game. And the Americans hung on and capitalized when they had to, and that made for great hockey. It made for great entertainment.
Hitch, you look gutted. You sound gutted.
You wear the flag, you wear the flag.
Mm-hmm. Well, to that point, Nathan McKinnon got a silver medal, and it's quoted as saying, "What the fuck am I supposed to do with this?"
Yeah.
Well, and that's the Canadian gold or nothing, right? That's the ultimate expression for gold or bust.
I ride for the brand, so that's the way it is.
Listen, Hitch, we can't thank you enough for the time you gave us during these 2 weeks. It was a learning experience for many of us, and I'd like to think at a certain point it was fun too.
Yeah, with you guys, it was a riot. You guys take care.
Thanks. Come over to Vegas and let's hang out. It's only a few hours away. See you, buddy. There's Ken Hitchcock. We'll be back with more on 100% Hockey, Best on Best with Millard and Shannon.
With the NHL app, you can listen to every NHL game right from your phone. And with home and away broadcast feeds, you choose your way to listen.
And he scores!
Whether you're at work, at the gym, or stuck in traffic, the NHL app puts you right in the action all season long. Every team, every game, everywhere you go. Download the NHL app and never miss a moment.
We have not mentioned what will become a term in the National Hockey League or junior hockey or your local rink. You're going to see it happen where a player's going to come up the ice and he's going to flip the puck up and he's going to try and bounce it through the defenders to get a chance. And it's now called the Matt Boldy, the Boldy play. An incredible individual effort.
Isn't that chip and chase? That's not chip and chase?
No. That was elite, bouncing the puck and chipping it or hopping the stick on the puck and your stick to yourself. That was elite play by Matt Boldy and the finish, which gave the Americans the opportunity to get comfortable in the game.
Yeah, no, there's no question. But that second period was so dominant by Canada. It was just a matter of time. You thought that Canada would score. The amazing thing truly is, though, that Canada, with all the advantages they had, was unable to score in the third period. That really was, in the end, that was, because we all thought at one point, so because, we're all, in the world that we live in, we're all trying to say, okay, there's the turning point. Well, maybe the turning point was the 5-on-3. Well, in the end, it wasn't the turning point. Perhaps the turning point was, the Hellebuyck save on Taves. Well, that wasn't the turning point. Perhaps it was the Bennett double minor, that maybe the Hughes. There were so many times where this thing could flip on its side and go the other way. That's what made it so dramatic. That's what made it so intense. Your point to Hitch, it wasn't the greatest hockey game ever played, but it might have been one of the most intense, right?
Yeah,
might have been
lots of icings, some giveaways.
Sure.
There's
turnovers. Yeah, no, it was something to behold. There was a point, though, I looked at the clock and said, man, it's going fast.
Yeah.
And then but that's a good sign. That means that there are things going on constantly. There's a few guys I think on the American team we should be mentioning. I thought Jack Eichel and Austin Matthews were so good defensively. I'm not sure Austin had a couple of chances, but a couple of great plays in their own zone. Those top two centermen were very good at doing that. I as you know, Darren, I love history of the game and the stories of the game. The fact that, Brock Nelson has a gold medal now, just like his uncle on the 80 team and just like his grandfather on the 60 team. I don't know how you can beat that. I don't know how you can. I'd love to be in War Road, Minnesota today, just to see how proud people are of what was going on. That to me is the magic of the game, of what goes on in the game of hockey. Not the Canadian game or the American game, but the game. Small town hockey, small town cities that contribute great players. To me, that's magical. That's magical stuff.
But Dylan Larkin had himself a moment. Maybe his most high-profile moment or moments since, remember the fastest skater in the All-Star game when he burst onto the scene there, and everybody like, who's Dylan Larkin? Who's this kid? But I thought he was brilliant for Team USA.
Great tournament.
Face-offs.
Great tournament. Yeah, a great tournament. And I mentioned Trocheck and Miller to Ken just because of all the flack, because the Rangers have been so bad this year, right? The Rangers are awful. And a lot of it is focused on those two guys. One of them was supposed to come and save the team, and the other one was supposed to just continue. Now the great story is they're the best of friends, right? And there they are on the ice killing penalties for the Americans through this whole tournament, and they did not allow a single goal in the tournament. I think that when you look at, I thought Brock Faber had a great game today. I really did. I thought of all the defensemen defensively, I thought Faber was their best. So it was, hey, listen, there's always next time. If you're a Canadian, there's always next time.
Well, we don't want to go back to Italy, and we're not playing any more gold medal games on February 22nd. I'm making those decisions right now. 2006 was not a great experience. Didn't win gold in 2026 and February 22nd. So there's a few things to talk to your friends about at the NHL and the IOC.
You can write this down. We're 0 for Italy.
Yeah, 0 for Italy. That's the new T-shirt. We're
not going. We're not going back to Turin. We're not going back to Milan. So,
I hope the listeners enjoyed John Shannon's wall-to-wall coverage.
Well, there's a lot of people that we have to thank. Our producer, Hugh McClarty, did a great job over the 14 days. The people that contributed: Hitch, Scotty Bowman, John Davidson, Mike Zeisberger, Scott Burnside, Mike Harrington. You know what? I think we did a solid job of being able to tell some stories and introducing some people. I noticed some notes from a couple of people in Australia and in Japan who downloaded the podcast well after we're asleep, and seemed to say that we were doing the right thing and keeping people informed about the game. Now it's back to real work. You know, the trade embargo ends tonight. Players can be moved tomorrow. I would not be surprised to see players starting to move as soon as tomorrow, honestly. Games resume on the 25th, which is Wednesday. And the trade deadline is March the 6th. So enjoy the celebration today, United States of America. Have a good time. And then we're going to be back to the NHL. I don't think it'll take long for us to get back in the NHL game, Darren. Lots of great stories coming up in the NHL too.
Well, you look up and you see the playoff races, but the guys that were involved in this gold medal game, they're not going to get back until either late Sunday or Monday, and the games start on Wednesday. And if you're a road team on Wednesday, you're traveling Tuesday, so it's like boom.
I tell you what. Let me ask you this: are you giving any of those guys Wednesday off?
If you can. If you can afford it,
I'm
yes.
not talking about. I'm talking about games. I'm talking. Don't play. The games. Okay. Even though we have a game Wednesday, you don't have to play.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
If you can, you can. So here's an example. Vegas plays in LA on Wednesday. So these guys are all getting back, and then they have to go to LA Tuesday, play Wednesday, and then they play in Washington on Friday. It's one of the weird road trips. They go LA, Washington, East Coast. And we've speculated with Bruce Cassidy, like, would it be a good idea if you could just leave a couple of players in Washington and not have to come all the way back and forth? But then there's salary cap implications. And so, and there's other
Bruce
teams that have to deal with it.
Bruce might just want to go to Washington.
Well, and there's going to be like, holy cow, what did I just go through? Catching your breath moment where you have to decompress and take everything in, whether that's this week or 2 weeks or a month from now, but it's going to happen for them all.
Do you think we're going to see 3-on-3 in the Olympic Games in 2030?
Yeah.
Yeah, so do I. I'm not advocating change. Those are the rules of engagement. Those are the rules of engagement. Every team has to live by them. Canada succeeded with it in one game. So did the Americans. They did it actually in two. So yeah, that's life.
I think if you were going to saw it off, 4-on-4 would be better. Like meet in the middle somewhere. But 4-on-4 doesn't exist in our game anywhere. At least 3-on-3 happens all the time. So.
Yeah. By the way, it just something just reminded me, and I'm going to go off on another tangent. I sit and watch the television, of both countries, Canada and the United States. I thought Chris Cuthbert and Mike Johnson did an outstanding job on the call. And I think what NBC did today by not putting and inserting commercials in game action in the 3 periods so that they could actually take more time to tell the stories of the American team, tell the stories of the game, was a brilliant decision. I think it was a brilliant decision of a network that doesn't have an allegiance to the NHL anymore, doesn't have its allegiance is to the Federation and the IOC.
You're giving up some cash with that, though, John.
Perhaps, or they just they were able to work with their salespeople and put them in the intermissions in the pregame. But it was a brilliant move by NBC to do that, to tell the stories of this game and this tournament for this team. And they should, and because NBC gets a little bit of criticism about how they covered hockey at this Olympics, but I thought they did a magnificent job in doing that today. Really, really good job.
And just a programming note for everybody: the curling portion of the Olympic Games will wrap up in September. I believe that's when the two tournaments will conclude. People down here are like, every time I turn it on, there's curling. There's curling. Yeah.
Well,
that's great. I loved it.
At least we won the curling.
You're right about that. Good old Brad and company. Take that.
But you know what?
Sweet.
But you know what? This isn't 100% curling.
Nope.
This is 100% hockey.
Just going to double touch that one. Thanks to everybody for participating and listening. Your engagement in the process was awesome over this fortnight of the Olympic Winter Games.
Use Fortnite again. That's the second time you use Fortnite. Wow.
Yeah, well, there's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I use one for each week. We'll be back with you for our regular conversations regarding the National Hockey League. 100% Hockey with Millard and Shannon.